Hmm. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you, depending where you are in the world. It's my nighttime devotion. We are reading from the devotional Lift Him Up. It's my evening worship. It is 8:10 in the evening here. I'm live in London. And the title today is Christ is the Chief Shepherd. The script reading comes from 1 Peter 5, verse 4. When the chief shepherd shall appear, ye shall receive a crown of glory that fadeth not away. A shepherd's life was one of diligence. He was obliged to watch his flocks day and night. Wild beasts were common and often bold, and would do great injury to flocks of sheep and cattle that were not guarded by the faithful shepherd. Although Jacob had a number of servants to aid him in tending the flocks owned by himself and by Laban, yet the responsibility of the whole matter rested upon him. And in some seasons of the year, he was obliged to be with the flocks himself day and night, to protect them in the driest season of the year, that they should not perish with thirst, and in the coldest part of the season, to save them from becoming chilled with the heavy night frosts. Their flocks were also in danger of being stolen by unprincipled shepherds who wished to enrich themselves by stealing the neighbor's cattle. As a shepherd's life was one of constant care, he was not qualified for a shepherd unless he was merciful, possessed courage and perseverance. Jacob was chief shepherd and had shepherds under him who were termed servants. The chief shepherd called these servants, to whom he entrusted the care of the flock, to a strict account if they were not found in a flourishing condition. If there were any of the cattle missing, the chief shepherd suffered the loss. The relation of Christ to his people is compared to a shepherd. He saw after the fall his sheep in a pitiable condition, exposed to sure destruction. He left the honors and the glory of his father's house to become a shepherd, to save the wandering sheep who were ready to perish. His winning voice was heard calling them to his fold, a safe and sure retreat from the hand of robbers, also a shelter from the scorching heat and a protection from the chilling blasts. His care was continually exercised for the good of his sheep. He strengthened the weak, nourished the suffering, gathered the lambs of the flock to his arms, and carried them in his bosom. His sheep love him. He goeth before his sheep, and they hear his voice and follow him. And a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. Christ says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for his sheep. Christ is the chief shepherd. He has entrusted the care of his flock to under shepherds. He requires these shepherds to have the same interest for his sheep which he has ever manifested, and to ever feel the responsibility of the charge he has entrusted to them. If they imitate his self-denying example, the flock will prosper under their care. They will be constantly laboring for the welfare of the flock. Christ is the chief shepherd. He's entrusted the care of his flocks to his under-shepherds. Under-shepherds are what? Pastors? Priests? Certainly not the Catholic Church, or not the popes anyway. I guess some priests are actually probably quite genuine to a degree, but Catholic priests are unfair, but then also Church of England, Anglican, they're all essentially Catholic. Pastors. T.D. Jakes, does he care for all his sheep? Joel Osteen. What's her name? Myers. All their private jets and their garages and garages of cars. Do they care for their sheep? They care for the ones that are paying for them, I guess. And it's just not them. There's probably, I don't know, 70-80% of all the pastors out there don't really care about their sheep, that is. But hey, maybe that's just me being cynical. That's what comes with age and experience. If you're a pastor, or even if you're not a pastor, you are still a shepherd. If you're a parent, you're a shepherd. If you're a manager in your company, you're a shepherd. Even if you haven't got a position in society of any degree, you're still a shepherd because you have neighbors. You have nieces, nephews, or whatever you have. We're all shepherds. Would you not say?